So, my good friend, tell me, there's a lot that's going on in the country right now.
That's right.
There's some challenges to diversity and inclusion. We're seeing it at the national level, playing out in the country. It's
right.
coming down to communities. It's coming down to companies.
That's right.
You're a chief diversity officer. Tell me why diversity is important to your company, and why is it important to you personally?
Absolutely. So I'll start with the company and then I'll digress and go
Okay. And
personal.
Make sure they
Yeah,
understand your
absolutely,
company.
absolutely. So Freighter Health is an integrated healthcare system. Shelton, as you know, here in the greater Milwaukee area, we have 5 hospitals that are a part of our system, and certainly over 40 health centers. And I think the importance for us and why we treat diversity, inclusion, and equity as a business imperative is that when you see the equity or the inequity issues that exist in America, and certainly here in this particular region, being one of the most segregated, if not the most segregated in America, certainly for us as a healthcare system, we know that we have to step up and really address that and close that gap. So that's one of the reasons why we do it. Number 2, it's also a major driver for us from a talent acquisition standpoint. If we do not understand how to build that pipeline for the future, right, the workforce for the future, we won't have folks that are going to be able to provide care right at the bedside. So those 2 things are really critical for us. And so we always look at things from a workforce, right, extraordinary people, so people strategy side, and also from a clinical or exceptional care side. Personally, the reason why I do this work, it's critical because when we moved here to the States many blue moons ago, I unfortunately had to become my mom's interpreter. And that's a really difficult situation coming in, right? Not understanding the technical verbiage or medical verbiage and having to also interpret some of her most intimate things to a clinician through me, right? As a young child. And so that really, I think, gave me an insight and I think impacted me in a manner that I said, if I can actually prevent someone else from having to go through that, right, a limited English proficient patient, then I will actually do that. And so many years later, I find myself in that role where actually I manage and oversee our language services team. So it's been, full circle.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I travel around the country speaking and talking to a lot of people, and I'm continuously surprised.
Yeah.
Even in a diversity and inclusion conference like this,
Yep.
there will be someone that will stand up and say, Dr. Goode, why is diversity and inclusion equity now? Why are these things important? Aren't we there yet? Haven't we done enough? How would you respond if you were me and you were, giving a presentation to somebody asked that? Why is it still important today?
Well, I would actually tell them right here in Milwaukee, let's actually go and drive to zip code 53206 on the north side. And I will tell you that when people go there into this community, they will find that it is a food desert, that it is a medical desert, that we have the highest incarceration rate for African American males in that community. And so when people tell me, have we arrived or aren't we close to it, I will say, Milwaukee, I think, is the epicenter, right? Let me show you what's going on here. And what we know is that zip code is more important than genetic code, right? And so when you see all these disparities that are going on here in Milwaukee, anyone should be compelled to say, not only how can my corporation get involved, but how can I, as a leader, right? As a citizen, get involved to really change, right, the landscape and the realities in our own community. So that's a reality here. I mean, and I'm sure you see it regionally and nationally, right? And so it's probably not any different than any other city in the South or in one of the coasts, for that matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you work for a phenomenal leader in Kathy Jacobson. I know personally that this is important to her personally and as a leader of an organization. But share with the folks out there, what's it like to really work with a leader that's competent, confident, and more importantly, comfortable talking about diversity and inclusion? What's that like?
Yeah, it's Shelton, honestly, it's a dream come true. One of the reasons why I moved from the East Coast and came to Milwaukee was because of Kathy. When I had my chance to interview her the same way she was interviewing me for the role, we had a discussion. And I asked her point blank, and I said, tell me what D&I and equity means to you, right? Not in terms of giving me, right, the definition. Tell me why it matters to you and why it matters to Freighter. I was sold within the first 5 minutes. Kathy gets it because of her own journey. as one of the first few females that broke within healthcare. And certainly she's had her share of setbacks, right, and obstacles that she has experienced along the way. And I think that has given her, honestly, insights about what it probably feels like, right, for diverse leaders as well. And so she has been joining the hip with me and our COO in terms of this journey. And so the last 5 years, we took the foundational strategy that we had to a whole new level, where now we're actually embedding those elements into the entire strategy at Frederick Health.
Well, I'm counting on you to help me get a chance to interview her. I think that people would like to hear directly from a CEO, like a Kathy. They hear from people like you and me all the time.
That's right.
You're a chief diversity officer. I'm a former chief diversity officer, now consultant. But to hear from a CEO who has to make decisions about budget, about staff, I think they deserve. So I'm counting on you to help me get here. In a minute or less, what would you like the folks to know either about you or about your organization in terms of diversity and inclusion?
Yeah, so I would say that Frederick Health, it's walking its talk. We're actually looking at equity, diversity, and inclusion, and we treat it as a imperative, as a business imperative within our system. And we want to make sure that if you have a chance to either seek care, that you come to us if that's actually the need, or if you're looking for a great experience, employee experience, consider us as that employer of choice in this region. Thank you. Andres Gonzalez, Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer for Frederick Health. This is what diversity looks like.